Another bill in the legislature would decriminalize clean needle exchanges, which supporters say would help prevent opioid-related deaths. While a number of states have already done so, not everyone in Arizona is sold on the idea. For Insight, I'm joined by Stephanie Innes, health reporter for the Arizona Republic. Stephanie, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's begin with what is the Clean Needle Exchange program?
Well, a lot of people call it syringe services or sterile or clean needles. And basically, if you are using injectable illicit drugs, often it's heroin, you can go to one of these programs with your dirty needles, and in exchange for, say, 10 dirty ones, they'll give you 10 clean ones, and that cuts down on your risk of skin abscesses, heart infections, and then, of course, bloodborne diseases like HIV and Hep C, which are unfortunately common among injectable drug users.
It's legal and legitimate here in the state of Arizona, correct?
They exist, but they're operating largely under the radar. In Pima County, there is an intergovernmental agreement that allows, and it's actually been in existence since the 1980s when there were heroin needles around South Tucson. But statewide, it's actually considered distribution of drug paraphernalia, which, syringes or clean needles are drug paraphernalia. So people taking part in these needle exchanges could run a risk of arrest. Now, I have not heard of that happening, but the problem is if they're not legal in the state, then the programs themselves have a hard time getting funding.
What are some of the pros and cons to this argument?
Well, there are a lot of people who, hearing it on the face, a clean needle exchange, you might think, well, that's enabling somebody to use heroin. And it's, one person said normalizing addiction. But if you actually sit down and talk to the people who run the programs, one of the reasons they call it syringe services is because you're not just getting clean needles there. So you're getting referrals to domestic violence, you're getting testing for HIV and Hep C, you get referrals to treatment for addiction if you want it.
As you noted, in places where this does exist, like Pima County, where there's this intergovernmental agreement, any data that show that this has been effective?
Oh yeah, there's decades of data that show that these programs do not increase crime and they cut down on bloodborne diseases, including Hep C and HIV.
What's the argument been at the state legislature for not passing these last few years?
Well, so this is the third year that this has been brought forward. And, I can't really say for sure what it is that's keeping it from passing. It's one of those things where you have to explain it to people for them to understand. And as I said, I understand, it makes sense that on its surface, people might think, well, why would you want to help people get more needles if they're injecting drugs? But the most recent data shows that in 2018, we had 3 people every day in Arizona die of an opioid-induced overdose. It's a lot of people. And the idea is, we don't want you to die with these syringe service programs. We want to meet you where you are. So if all you can do is come in and get a clean needle and not get HIV, okay, and maybe in a few weeks when you come back, you'll want one of these treatment services to be referred to. But I think some of the people feel very judged and they feel bad about themselves, and they're less likely to get help when they feel that way.
If it fails this year, any indication it could be brought up again next year?
I think the people behind this are pretty passionate about it. I don't know if they'll go for another way of doing it. I don't know, but I know that Tony Rivero, he's a Republican from Peoria, he's introduced it every single year. And he says, to him it's not a partisan issue and it's not political, it's just common sense and it's about saving lives.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you.
Thank you.